Hey Bobby, how's it going?
Fine, thank you.
So, you use the System 6000, right?
I've been using the System 6000 since it first came out in KC. You know, dropped it off at Warner Brothers for me to try, and immediately fell in love with the unit and ended up buying it. And since I've had the unit, I've probably used it on over 300 films, and of course records and television shows. Every time I'm mixing or recording, I use the 6000. That's my go-to reverb for everything.
And you work with Clint Eastwood?
I've been working with Clint Eastwood for about 35 years, yeah. And every film in the last 35 years I've done.
That's so cool. I'm a big Clint Eastwood fan.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
So you just recently came out with a movie where you made the sound, Eastwood movie. Will you tell us about that?
Yeah, American Sniper, yeah. That was a film that originally, when I spoke to Clint, there was not going to be any music in the film. He wanted to go without music. But after about a week or so, that turned around and we did add music, but not what you would consider a traditional score. It became more of a sound design kind of score, more atmospheric.
In what sense?
More synthy sounding, and so that's where I really got into the TC with the long tail reverbs and the richness in the sounds, using bigger halls and sort of making it deeper and wider than I would normally make it on, say, an orchestral recording. So this added some space into it. The one exception was there was a couple of piano pieces where I went back to a traditional hall, because we didn't want to make it too grand. We just wanted some ambience on the piano. There was tender moments in the film, and that's pretty much the only acoustic instrument as far as pianos. But we had 3 drummers on stage. Clint wanted to get a certain sound, so we had 3 drummers on there that were phenomenal guys. So what we did was, or I set up the drummers facing the screen, left, center, right, and they were just, nothing was written. They were just playing to what they saw. Clint would say, okay, we're going to play here, 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 and that's what they did. So I used the TC on that stuff because we wanted to create 5-1 ambience. So the way I mic'd that actually lent itself well to the program. So I had 3 M50s up in front. I had an M50 left and right of each of the drummers, and then 2 M50s in the back. And that's how they were assigned to the speakers, because it was mixed in Dolby Atmos. So that worked really, really well. So another project that actually the TC worked really well on was Jersey Boys. Because in that film, we had to create different ambiences for every location the guys were playing in. If they were in a small club, I went to the TC and dialed up a small club. And again, everything was in surround, so that had to be a surround environment. So if you listen to the film, you'll see that the environments do change. So it's not the same reverb being used over and over and over again. When we're in a club, it's a small club sort of TC sound, which is very natural, and you get the feeling that you're in the club with the band. We cut to show like the Ed Sullivan Show or American Bandstand. Again, different ambiences drawn up from the TC to create those moods and those environments, which work really well. Yeah.
You know, after meeting you, it's so much more interesting to watch a Clint Eastwood movie and also watching for the credits. So I'm really proud of having you on board on the TC team. So thank you for taking time to come out here today. My pleasure, man. Like I said, TC has been a big part of what I do. And again, it's my go-to reverb. I'm not saying this because I'm sitting here. It is a reverb that I use all the time. Very rarely do I ever use plugins. The only time I'll use a plug-in reverb is when I don't have enough TC 6000s. That's the only time. Last question. Yes. If you should mention just one feature that you really like particularly about the System 6000, which would that be? What I like the natural sound. That's the one thing that impressed me when I first heard the TC was the tails of the reverbs were so clean. There was no chatter. It was just it sounded very natural to me. And coming from an orchestral background and working with orchestras pretty much all my life, and knowing what a hall and a room sound like, that nailed it for me. You know, at that time, the other one was a competitor, which was became sort of like the de facto standard until the TC came on the scene. That was a great reverb, but the tails were not clean and they weren't smooth like a TC. And so that's what sold me. I mean, immediately, guys, I said, first time I heard it, I bought it. There was no second, no, I bought it immediately. That was it. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Pleasure. Thanks a lot, Bobby. Thank you.